So how do you draw trend lines when you're looking at any specific stock chart? And what is a trend line in the first place? Hey guys, Joey here, top tier MyZero trader in Philips Securities, and in this video we'll be talking about trend lines, right? So I think all of you would know about this phrase called, the trend is your friend, right? You want to be along with the trend, right? So I think that phrase is 100% true. It's definitely better to be along with the trend than to be against the trend, right? So first thing first, how do we even know whether you are along or against the trend? You need to know what is the trend, right? Is it in upwards direction, that means an uptrend, or is it a downtrend, that means going in a downwards direction? All right, and that's exactly what we'll cover in this video. We'll be looking at trend lines, right? So just by drawing what we call a trend line, we are able to gauge whether the trend is it up or is it down. So let me just explain to you very simply. I have my whiteboard right here before, and I'll just draw a quick diagram for you before we look at real life charts and look at some case studies as to how to actually apply whatever that is being covered right now on the whiteboard. All right, so how it goes is like this, right? Most of the time, right, every single stock, it will be in what we call an uptrend or a downtrend, or maybe even a sideways trend, right? That would be the case. It will not just like move up every single time. It will not like move down every time. Each time it moves up and down, it will consolidate. That's what we call a sideways movement. But let's not talk about sideways. Let's talk about trend, all right, in this video. So let me just draw it for you right here. So for example, this is how a stock would most likely move up, right, in an uptrend, right? It will not like go up every single day. Sometimes we might see a little bit of a pullback right here, all right, as it pushes down in this level right here. It pushes down, it pushes down, it pushes down, kind of like swing down, all right, and that's where buyers might come back again to catch the dips, to catch good levels, to enter, to ride the upside for a rebound. So that's what's happening in an uptrend. It doesn't just move up every single day. If it does that, that's where you want to be careful, because as it moves up too fast, there's no support being found. All right, that's where if it does U-turn or reverses back down, it can be fast. So that's where you want to be careful. It's not a healthy uptrend, right? A healthy uptrend would be one whereby we see a little bit of pullback as it trades higher, all right, and that's what we call healthy. Okay, so this is what we call an uptrend. So how do we draw the upward sloping trend line? So very simple, just by connecting the lows, right? Connecting the lows right here, we can draw what we call an upward sloping channel support line, right? So this is what we call a channel, CHANNEL, channel support line. So a support line, if there's no channel, then it will be just like a horizontal support line. So normally when people talk about support and resistance, it's the horizontal one, but now we put this channel word. There's a channel. So when there's a channel, it means it's a bit of a sloping up or sloping down. In terms of a support line, a channel support line would be one whereby it's kind of like sloping up. It can be sloping down as well, but now we're talking about uptrend. So let's talk about one whereby this is a channel support line that is sloping upwards. So you can see each time it nears this level right here, it touches, it rebounds, rebounds, it rebounds. This is what we call a channel support line. So the more times it touches this channel support line and it rebounds, that's where this line is quite good. That means anything above this channel support line, as long as prices would stay above it right here, that is where we are still in an uptrend. But if we do break down, like for example, if we do break down this line, that's where you want to be careful, because if it does break down, then not so good. We might start to see that reversal back down. So this is pretty much what is an uptrend, right? Just by looking or drawing an upward sloping channel support line, you can gauge the trend and if the trend has broken from up to down, right? So this is an uptrend. What about a downtrend? So let me just draw it for you again. All right, over here, let me just shift this. So for example, in a downtrend, how it works is like this, right? So I might just move up and down, all right, up and down. So that's how a stock moves down as well. It will not like just go down every single day. All right, each time it moves down, there could be some short covering, there could be some bargain hunting. It might just rebound, what we call a technical rebound, and sellers might come back and push it back down again. Right, might push it back down, back down, back down. But overall, as time passes, right, it forms what we call lower lows and lower highs, right? And just by just by looking at a chart like this, we can draw now what we call a resistance level. But in this case, it will be a channel resistance. So let me just draw it for you right here. So this is like what we call channel resistance lines, and as long as prices were to stay below this downward sloping channel resistance line, we are pretty much in a downtrend, right? So in this case here on the left, right, in this case, that would be an uptrend, all right? As long as prices will stay above this upward sloping channel support, it's an uptrend. But on the right here, we have a downtrend because we are forming what we call lower highs. Each time it rebounds to this level, sellers comes back and push prices down even lower. Same thing, rebounds, sellers come back, and they push prices lower and lower. And that's how it goes lower and lower. It consolidates lower and lower. So that's a downtrend. So just by drawing what we call a downward sloping channel, all right, so let me just put here channel. This is what we call a channel resistance line, right? So a resistance would be one whereby, you know, it is at the top, prices is below that resistance. So a channel resistance is one whereby it's sloping downwards. All right, so just by looking at these two lines, we can tell whether the trend is up or down. All right, so in this case of a downtrend, same thing, right? In the case of a downtrend, as long as we trade below this line, this red line right here, right, we are in a downtrend. But sometimes, you know, we might just consolidate and we might break up of this downward sloping channel resistance line right over here, right? If that happens, then we break up above that downward sloping channel resistance line right here. That is where there could be a potential reversal, right, in terms of the upwards direction. That is where potentially we may start to see a reversal in terms of a downtrend to an uptrend. That's where we can think about buying, about getting in again to ride the reverse. So if not, as long as we stay below this line, then not so good. We are in a downtrend. We still want to be careful. You know, you don't want to think about buying because it can go lower and lower. All right, so this is just a bit of a diagram to explain to you, all right, just by, you know, what I mean by trend line. So right now, let's just go into take a look at some case studies or some real life stock to see how we can apply whatever we have covered right now in terms of trend lines, right? So you want to know how to draw it. So after drawing it, that's good, but what do you want to do after drawing it? How does it make sense? I mean, in terms of your entry and exit. Let's go. Okay, so let's take a look at the case study, all right, to see how we can make use of those trend lines that I've shown you in real life charts and what we're going to do with them. All right, so this is a stock called P-Body Energy, stock code BTU, right? One of those I would say uptrending stock in my watch list over the past 1 to 2 years, right? So very quickly, let's go to draw the upward sloping, all right, channel support line right here. So let's just go into this part right here. So we're looking at an uptrend now, right here, and we want to draw what we call the upward sloping channel support green line. So let me just go to draw it for you and we can see if the trend is in it up or down. So what we're going to do is we want to connect the lows, right? So, you know, by drawing this line, it's basically the lows and connect the lows, and you can see that each time it moves forward, the lows gets higher. So it's higher lows that is in an uptrend, right? So let's just see if, you know, there would be higher lows. Definitely, right? Look at this, right? So the low was pretty much this in 2021. It went a little bit higher. The low went higher, higher, higher. So as it moves forward, you can see that the lows went higher, right? So even without drawing that line, of course we'll do it later, but even without drawing this line, you can see that it is pretty much in an uptrend because we are seeing what we call higher lows, right? That is good. That is an uptrend. That means each time it pushes back down to what we call that, you know, support level or price level, it didn't really go back to the previous low. It just went down a little bit and buyers came back and started to buy and started to rebound back up. So that's a sign of strength. It doesn't go back to the previous low or maybe even lower than the previous low. It does not do that, right? It just goes down a little bit, maybe half of it, maybe 3/4 of it, and buyers start to come back and it starts to rebound back up. All right. Okay, so let's go ahead to draw what we call the upward sloping channel support line. So very simple, right? Just with a click of a button. I mean, just now we did it manually by using a pen and all that, but now we just with a click of a button, you can draw what we call an upward sloping channel support line right here, right? Just by clicking one end and clicking one end. So you can see that the more points we have to draw a line, the better it is, right? So in this case, you can see it's like about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, about 8 points. And, you know, so far we are still above this upward sloping channel support line. So as long as you stay above these lines, let's say the trend is still good, that's where you can think about buying, all right, the stock in an uptrend. all right, because it's an uptrend. That's more or less, there's a chance or potential for it to push even higher than a downtrending stock. However, right, if we were to break down, for example, now, it might just consolidate up and down, and it stays above this line, which is great. It might even break a resistance like maybe that 33. Okay, let me just go to draw like a resistance level, a horizontal resistance level right here. This is what we call a horizontal resistance. So now it's kind of like trading upwards, very gentle uptrend, but you can see that we are capped at this resistance about 33, 32. All right, if we break that level, that is where the upside can continue to a higher phase, right? And that's a good thing for this stock. It might push to like maybe $40, $45. That's what potentially can happen. But I'll not cover in terms of breakout and all that. But in this video, it's pretty much just about trend, like just by being in the right direction as the trend, right? You have a higher chance of being right? You want to go on or buy stocks that are in an uptrend rather than buy stocks that are in a downtrend. All right. Okay, good. So let's take a look at this. So what about a reversal? So in this case, let's just say that it has gone up, it breaks the resistance and push higher. Right? That's a good thing. But what if it does, break down? For example, it might just consolidate and it breaks down this support level, or this upward sloping channel support. Maybe one day it might just break down this channel support, maybe about $25 or $27. Well, then that is not a good thing. That shows that the trend could potentially have reversed. I mean, for the past like 2 years, we have rebounded many times above this upward sloping channel support line, and one day finally if it does break below this line, then that is a sign of strength. That is a chance whereby the stock might potentially reverse from the uptrend that we've seen over the past 1-2 years to potentially a downtrend. That's where you want to be careful. You want to reduce your exposure. You want to have a plan to maybe get out and all that, right? So that's how you can tell if the trend has indeed turned, just by looking at the upward sloping trend line, or this what we call the channel support line. All right, so let's take a look at another example, maybe one that is downtrending. Right, so let me just go to take a look at this stock called maybe Amazon. Right, I think Amazon is one of those like popular stocks as well. All right, so you can see right now we have been trading lower and lower since 2021. All right, and right now we are about $98. So I'm not kind of like talk about it in terms of like should we buy, should we sell. It's not really a video about a stock tip or an idea, but mainly to teach you about trend line. So what do you think about Amazon? Is it in an uptrend or downtrend? Right? What do you guys think? I mean, I would say that it is in a downtrend, right? Just by looking at the longer term. So what we're going to do first thing first is that when we are drawing trend lines, right, you want to kind of like zoom out. We want to kind of like zoom out. We don't just like, like zoom in right here and just look at like only like a month or like 2 weeks, then you're not looking at the big picture. So whenever you draw trend lines or maybe even the horizontal support and resistance lines, you don't kind of like zoom out, look at it from a 1 year, maybe 2 years point of view, so that you have a bird's eye view before we even zoom in. Does it make sense? Right, so zoom out first. So let me just zoom out, like show you this. Right, so zoom out, you can see that this is like since 2021, so it's about 2 years, right? 2 years. I mean, you don't have to go until like what 2014 or 2016. That's too far away. Past 1-2 years, that's fine, and we can kind of gauge the trend, right? So look at this right here in terms of a downtrend, right? Let's just zoom it to here right now. So this is a downtrend we covered just now, whereby you can see that we are forming lower highs, right? Lower highs, and essentially you can see that it touches or nears that the downward sloping channel resistance. It comes back down, it goes lower and lower. All right, so this is pretty much what we are seeing right now for this stock called Amazon. Right, we are forming what we call lower high. So this is a high here in November 2021. It went to a lower high, it rebounded a little bit, lower high, lower high, lower high, lower high. So we are pretty much forming what we call lower highs. That is what we call a downtrend, right? Lower highs and downtrend. So just by drawing this, or I mean, we don't even need to draw the line, you can see that, but let's just draw that downward sloping channel resistance line, right? So very simple. Try to connect the best fit line right here. All right, try to connect the best fit line. Sometimes it might not be the best fit. Sometimes like 2 points might hit, sometimes 3, sometimes 5. But the more points, right, the best fit is the more points that touches that specific line, the channel resistance line, or maybe with the channel support line, the better it is, right? So in this case, you can see that I've drawn this line right here. So let me just change this to red in color, because this is a resistance line. Prices is obviously below it. That's why it's red in color. It's resistance, normally put it as red in color. For a support, then it'll be green in color. So in this case, right now you can see that we have been pretty much in the downtrend just by drawing this downward sloping channel resistance line. It's about $98. So I'll say that anything below this 110, all right, where this line, so we can kind of like extend, if you want, you can extend this line right here. All right, and we might just consolidate. In fact, right here we might push down, maybe move up a little bit, and sellers might come back, might push down, and that's what could potentially can happen. All right, as long as we stay below this downward sloping channel resistance, like, should we be thinking about buying? I mean, what do you guys think? Not saying that you can't buy, you can. I mean, in fact, if it does, buy near the support about 80, about 90, we might see a bit of rebound. But the point here is that in a downtrend, if you're just buying and buying, for example, since like 1-2 years back, you've been buying because it goes down cheaper, you buy, you buy, and it goes down and down, it can be really dangerous, right? So if you want to buy in a downtrend, you want to definitely have a plan, right? It's like maybe more of a short-term trade for like a few days or 1 or 2 weeks, it rebounds, you get out. That's fine, but you definitely don't want to go against the downtrend. That means you want to buy and you keep, and you think you want to wait for 2 years or 5 years, but if it's a downtrend, you can just go down and down and down. That's where you can be stuck. All right, so don't think about buying in a downtrend. Instead, think about how you can get out, or maybe you reduce your exposure, or maybe think about riding the downside by taking short positions using what we call CFD. All right, so that's what you can do. You can take short using CFD. Okay, contract for difference. Okay, so this is Amazon. So as long as we stay below this line, we are a bit of a downtrend. I wouldn't think about buying, all right, until there are some clear signs of a reversal back up. So when does that reversal comes in? Well, very simple. So for example, let's say if we were to consolidate right here, we might stay below, might consolidate below, but one fine day, you might find a little bit of a bottom, and we might eventually see that move up right here, whereby it breaks this downward sloping channel resistance line. If that happens, let me just draw it for you right here, for example, right? You might just go down and down, but eventually if it breaks this downward sloping channel resistance lines, that could be a sign of strength in terms of a reversal happening. That could be a sign of the trend turning from like down for like 1-2 years, finally just starting to go up, just starting to point up, or for the reversal to slowly take shape, or for the uptrend to slowly firm up. That is what could happen just by going above this downward sloping channel resistance line. And that's where you can think about buying. Of course, we can look at a few things like the horizontal support and resistance level in terms of the price action and all that, but that's for another video. This video is pretty much just talking about trend line. Very simple. How do you know whether are you in the right direction as a trend, or are you against the trend? And you don't want to be against the trend, you want to be in the right direction as a trend, because I think you can agree that it is harder to go wrong. I mean, not saying that you cannot go wrong, but it is harder to go wrong if you are with the trend. Does it make sense? All right, it's harder to go wrong if you're with the trend. So I'd rather be with the trend than to be against the trend. All right, so I hope you learned something in this video, right? So just give you a bit of a case study. So this is what we have covered, guys. I just give you guys 2 case studies in terms of an uptrend. All right, in terms of trend lines in stock, we look at an upward sloping trend line, that's called a channel support line, a downward sloping trend line, that's a channel resistance lines, and we have shown you some case study as well as to how to use these lines to gauge whether is it in an uptrend or downtrend. So guys, if you like this video, I would appreciate if you can give me a thumbs up, smash the subscribe button. That will definitely help out the channel, and thank you so much for doing that. And of course, yeah, hit the like button, right? And if we, whenever there are any new videos that comes out, that's where you will be alerted to as well. So thank you so much for watching. Joey here. All right, hit the subscribe button, and if you want to find out a bit more on how you can come on board as a client of mine in Phillip Securities to get some of our ideas much faster by WhatsApp, we do share some ideas on daily by WhatsApp. Click on the link around this video. You can probably click the link somewhere, and that's where you can come on board, and that's where you can get some of the services seen nowhere as a client of mine in Phillip Securities. Joey here. Thank you so much for watching. Take care.